Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Critical English. We're dealing with the grade 7s, and we have with us Alicia and Azaria, and you're going to see their faces in a few minutes. And we will be continuing our topic on parts of speech. We've already talked about nouns, we've already talked about pronouns. Have we talked about any other parts of speech, girls? We did. I'm not going to tell you what you're going to do. Nouns, pronouns, and the last class, not the last class, the class before the last class, last class, we're talking about subject and verb agreement. So verb is another one. Can you remember any others that we discussed in class? Nouns, pronouns, verbs. Any others we did that you can remember? We did one more as well when we were joining sentences. Fanboys, remember fanboys? And, but, so, for, or. Fanboys. They were all examples of what? It begins with a C. Conjunctions. You're saying it. So we have conjunctions. And today we're moving on to a new topic of adverbs. But before we go into this new topic, let's review the things that we will need to remember. We need to remember what the subjects in a sentence usually are. It's usually what? How will you say what's the subject? How can you identify the subject of a sentence? So we have a sentence. It must have a subject. It must have a verb. And it must make sense. Remember that one? Good. So, but what is the subject in the sentence? The subject is who or what the sentence is about. So we may say Mary is making a tiara for her birthday. She's making a tiara. Is the subject of the sentence a tiara or is it Mary? Who is doing the act? Mary, because Mary is doing the action. So Mary is a noun. The tiara is also a noun, but the subject of that sentence is Mary because she is the one doing the action. Correct? So we have our subject of the sentence, which is usually a noun or a pronoun. And then we have something called verbs. We talked about it the last time, and what did we say about it? Verbs are, in that particular sentence there, Mary, what did we say? She was making a tiara for her birthday. What would be the verb in that sentence? What? Making, exactly, but this one here is a longer one. Was making, because was is a state of being verb as well. So Mary was making. So those two combined, was making, would be a verb. So the verb is basically what is the action in the sentence, and it can either be an action that you can see, that can be imaginary, but it could also be a state of being verb. I am a girl. Is that any action happening there? No, you're just saying what you are. Or the girls are dancing. Dancing is the action verb, yes, because they're dancing. But are is a state of being. That's the state they're currently in. I am going to the market. So notice there we have two types. We have the state of being verbs, and then we have the action verbs. Good. So let's move on to our topic today on adverbs. And again, let's talk a little bit about things. So let's talk about hearts. When you think of hearts, what color usually comes to mind?
Pink, red.
Pink, red. And you may think of what kind of holidays. White may come to mind as well. What holiday comes to mind if I ask you about a heart? Valentine's Day, right? Love and all those things. And a lot of teenagers would draw hearts in their books because they think they're in love and all those crazy things, right? Good. So what we were doing there is describing those hearts. When you said they can be pink, they can be red, they can be white, and all those things. So we're going to be talking about something like that. So when we talk about the color of the hearts, we're talking about a description. We're describing it. If we say the girl is short, tall, whatever, we're describing her. Those would be adjectives. So the adjective will describe the noun or the pronoun. Tall girl, the short girl, the curly haired boy. So once you're describing a noun, it would be an adjective. So if an adjective describes a noun, what do you think an adverb does? What is it? What can we pair it with? What would it describe? Think of it. Adverb. If you had to break this word up into two parts, what would be the two parts? Add and verb. And verb is a part of speech, right? Which we just said was the action word. So if you had to say that the adverbs had to be linked to a part of speech, what part of speech would you choose? Verb, because it's in the word, right? It has to do something with verbs. So let's look at the board and behind you, and you'll be able to see it. It's right there. So those are examples. Yes, adverb. So an adverb is a word that modifies, or in brackets, what do we have there? Describes a verb. He sings loudly. So let's listen to it again. He sings loudly. The subject in that little part there would be which word? Who or what is doing the action here? He. What is the verb in this sentence? Or this part? Sings, correct? So that means that our adverb in this little couple words would be what? Loudly. Good. He sings loudly can be a full sentence as well, but because it doesn't have a full stop or doesn't start with a capital letter, we're not going to call it a sentence today. He sings loudly. So let's go it over again. The adverb describes or modifies a verb. Our verb is sings. How does he sing? Loudly. Think you get it? Good. Let's go to the other thing. An adjective. Good. A verb. So it can describe a verb, but it can also describe what? What's the other part of speech it can describe? An adjective. So very tall. Those are two words next to each other. Tell me which one is the verb and tell me which one is the adverb and which one is the adjective. One describes a thing, that would be the adjective. One describes the adjective, that would be the adverb. So very tall. Which one is the adjective and which one is the adverb?
Tall is the adjective.
Tall is the adjective. Good. It describes a person, right? It tells us how this person is. He is tall, adjective, correct. Now we have very tall now. So the adverb there will be very. It tells us how, it gives us more information on the tall, how tall he is, very. So someone could be slightly taller than you. Somebody could be very tall. So let's look at the other one. Another adverb, ended too quickly. So an adverb can describe a verb. We know the answer there. It can describe an adjective, and it can also describe or modify another adverb. Make sense? Confusing? So let's go it over again. An adverb can modify or describe a verb. We know that one. It can modify or describe an adjective. And the one we're getting at now is that it can modify or describe another adverb. So let's look at the bracket part there. We have ended too quickly. So ended would be the verb. Quickly is the adverb. How quickly? Too quickly. Maybe you went to a festival or you went to a concert and it ended too quickly and you didn't want to go home. So quickly is the adverb. The other adverb that modifies quickly is to. How quickly? So think about the question how. If you ask yourself the how question, that tells you what is the adverb in the sentence. Let's continue. Adverbs often end in ly, so most of them would end in ly, but some, such as fast, look exactly the same as their adjective counterparts. Cool? Alright, so let's continue. As we're going to these examples now, let's just recap what we learned, because it's not on the screen. I'm not saying it, you have to say it now. There's three parts of speech that adverbs describe or modify. What are those three? Let's have one from you, Azaria.
Adjective.
Good. Adjectives.
Verb.
Verbs and other adverbs. Good. So let's go to our examples now. Tom Longboat, so that's somebody's name, their proper name, that's why it starts with capital letters, did not run badly. So run here would be what? We know badly is the adverb because it's in bold, correct? So what is this? What is it describing there? Is it describing a verb? Is it describing an adjective? Or is it describing another adverb? Look at the sentence. Tom Longboat did not run badly.
Adverb.
All right. Tell me the word it's describing first. Is it describing Tom Longboat or is it describing the run? Run. So Tom Longboat did not run. So run there is what part of speech? If we say he run or he ran, that will be what part of speech? Think of it. Tom Longboat will be what part of speech then? He's the subject of our sentence, right? But what part of speech is that? Noun. Very good. So that's our subject in the sentence. What comes next? Did not run. So let's just focus on the run part. Run. What part of speech would that be? We know the last one is an adverb. So what is the word in the middle there? What is the run? Remember, we can only have a sentence if it has a subject, a verb, and it makes complete sense.
Verb.
It's a verb. Good, good. Lucky guess, huh? So a verb, just think of the action. The action that he's doing is he's running. The run, or in this case, the action he did not do. He did not run. So, and we're describing this run as, how did he do it? Badly. So it's an adverb because it tells us how this person or did not run, right? Let's look at the other one. And this is one we used earlier with tall, remember? Tom is very tall. So, what is our adverb here? Very. What is our adverb describing? Tom is very. Does that describe Tom? So let's look at it again. Tom, that will be which part of speech? We said that in the first sentence, so that we're reminding you again. Tom is what part of speech? The name of a person is what part of speech? A pronoun. You sure about that? A pronoun replaces a noun. So let's figure it out first.
Oh, it's a noun.
It's a noun. If we want to make it a pronoun, what can we change Tom to? He. Good. Very good. So it's a noun. Is what kind of part of speech? We said verb. It's a verb because it's a state of being verb, right? Very good. So Tom is very tall. If we say Tom is tall, tall would be an adjective. So what is the very describing? Is the very describing the is or is the very describing the tall? Difficult question, huh? Tom is very tall. Look at the position of the very. What is it describing? What does it give us more information about, the is or the tall?
The tall.
The tall. So we said tall is an adjective. So because it's describing the adjective, very in this case is an adverb. Correct? Let's go to the next one. The race finished too quickly. And you should already be thinking, if we talked about an adverb describing a verb, and we already talked about an adverb describing an adjective, then we should be expecting that the third example will have an adverb describing another adverb. Good. Let's see if our predictions are right. The race finished too quickly. The race is our subject. That's the noun, race. The race finished too quickly. Finished is the verb. Quickly, we already know that is an adverb because it ends with ly. So, the race finished too quickly. What does the too give us more information about? Does it give us more information about the verb finish, or does it give us more information about quickly, the adverb? Quickly, good. So, were we correct with our predictions just now? Yes. So we have examples of an adverb being used to describe a verb, an adjective, and now we have the example of another adverb. Let's look at our fourth example. Now we don't know what to expect, right? Because we already covered all three. Let's look at the fourth example. Fortunately, Lucy recorded Tom's win. So Lucy recorded Tom's win. That could easily be a sentence by itself. We don't exactly need fortunately, but when we add fortunately, it tells us or gives us more information about the action of the recording. Correct? So fortunately, Lucy recorded Tom's win. So we're describing there the relief or the action there. So let's go to the next examples. So I am not going to tell you how these are working in the sentences. Each of you will have one example, and you will, after one person, the other person will go, okay? So let us start with Alicia. Can you read the first sentence that's there? And just explain to us why the adverb is the adverb. What does it describe? Go ahead.
Philip sings loudly in the shower.
Good. Philip sings loudly in the shower. So dissect that for us. Break it up for us. Make it simpler for us.
So loudly, which is the adverb, describes the verb sing.
So loudly describes the sings. It's telling you how he sang. Philip sings loudly in the shower. So we can have a sentence without the adverb, correct? If we take out the adverb from that sentence, it will be Philip sings in the shower. That's a perfectly good sentence. So when we use adverbs, it's basically to make our sentences more interesting. It gives us more details. Imagine you were writing a story and your story was like, Philip sings in the shower, Philip gets ready to go to school, Philip went to school, Philip came back home, Philip went to sleep. Is that an interesting story? No. Do you talk like that with your friends? No, you like to give details, right? And if you have a book, sometimes at the back of your book, what do? You draw all sorts of different things, right? Do you draw? You look like you doodle. You look like your book doesn't have any drawing on the back of it. Clean. Good. So we're all different and we express our personalities differently. But when we speak, we like to say interesting things, right? We like people to hear what we're saying. So we can do that when we make good use of adverbs. So let's continue. Let's go to Azaria. My cat
My cat
waits
impatiently for his food.
Good. So the adverb there is
Impatiently.
impatiently. And what is that describing, or what is that giving us more information about?
The cat.
So cat, is cat a verb, an adverb, or an adjective?
An adjective? No.
So an adjective is a describing word. Does cat describe anything?
No.
No. So you wanna go over that, please?
My cat waits impatiently for his food.
The impatiently is describing the
Food?
no, not the cat. Remember, we said the cat is a noun, right? It's the name of something. The food would also be the name of something. That's also a noun. His, that would be a possessive pronoun. Remember that one? And then, so it has to be describing which word? Which other word we didn't talk about there? Wait. It describes the wait. How did he wait? Impatiently. So the wait there is, what part of speech, Azaria? You want to help, Alicia?
Yeah.
What is it?
The verb.
It's a verb. Very good. So both of these examples are used with the adverb describing the verb, the action word. Let's go to the other one. I will seriously consider your suggestion. How will I consider it? Seriously. See how easy it gets after a while? You ask yourself how. How is it doing this? How is it doing that? if you can say the boy is a little blue, sometimes people say blue when they're sad, right? The boy is a little blue. Little, the boy is a little. Let's continue. Let's look at this one here. The woman is quite pretty. So in the previous sentence where we say the boy is a little blue, if we say the boy is little, little in that sense will be an adjective, right? But in this sense here, little and quite are very similar in how they were used just now, right? You know, in Guyanese terms we say a little bit, or there's this word too. I love you too much. So it's the same way when you say little in that sense. So it's not what you say, it's not the word, it's how the word is used. So if ever you find yourself thinking that this word can only be this part of speech because Miss said so, it's not that, it's how the word is used. What is the function of the word in the sentence? So let's go at this other one here. The woman is quite pretty. Let's talk about it again. The woman, this is our
Noun.
It's a noun, good. And for the sentence, it will be what for the sentence? We won't usually say the noun of the sentence. We would call that what or who the sentence is about is called the subject. Good. So the subject of our sentence is the woman. We're talking about the woman. Everything is about the woman. The woman is quite pretty. Pretty is our adjective. And quite pretty, quite is telling us how pretty is she? Quite. So that is our adverb. Let's go to the next one. This book is more interesting than the last one. What is more interesting?
The book.
The book. So if we were supposed to take out more, can our sentence still make sense? No, in this sense it doesn't make sense, right? This book is more interesting than the last one you're comparing. So the more is giving us more information. The more is giving us more information about what?
The book.
The book. If it describes the book is a noun. So if it describes a noun, it will be an adjective. So are we describing an adjective? No, we're not saying more of the book. We're saying more of interesting. This girl is more interesting than that one. We're focusing on the more interesting part, right? So interesting is more interesting. So that would be a verb. Notice the ing ending is interesting. So that will be the complete verb thing going on there. So let's look at the last one there. The weather report is almost always right. So we have an adverb and we have another adverb. Almost always right. Who in this room always think they're right? You guys don't always think you're right? You're supposed to think you're always right. Even when you're wrong, you're supposed to think you're right. But when you figure out you're not right, then you have to apologize and say, I'm sorry. Do you say sorry? No? Do you say sorry when you're wrong?
Sometimes. Yes, sometimes.
Alicia. Alright, let's go to our other one there. So, I'm going to take a step back and we are going to give all the reading for this particular page to Alicia. And as Alicia is reading it, when you finish reading it, Azaria will now come in and tell us what the adverb is and which word. Don't tell us the part of speech, just tell us which word it is describing. When you're finished with that, we come back to Alicia and you will tell us what part of speech that word is describing. Go ahead, Alicia, you read.
Is my singing too loud? Asked Philip.
So our adverb there, Azaria, is to. Which word is it giving us more information about?
Singing.
Read it one more time in your mind. Want to give it another shot, or you need some help? Is it? Ask yourself this: how is he singing, or how loud?
Loud.
How loud, right? That makes more sense. Good. So the word that two is giving us more information about is loud. So Alicia, what part of speech is loud?
Adjective.
It's an adjective, right? Because it tells us how something is going. Good. Go again, Alicia, your turn. My cat.
My cat is incredibly happy to have his dinner.
Good. And this example here, Azaria, incredibly ends with L. Y. That's usually a hint that it's an adverb. Thank you. That's usually a hint that it's an adverb. So what word in that sentence is it giving us more information about?
His.
So remember, it can't be a noun or a pronoun that is giving more information about, right? Alicia, would you like to help?
Oh, happy.
How happy? Incredibly happy. Exactly. So this happy in this case will be what, Alicia?
It would be
Think of it, the cat is happy, the boy is happy. Happy there is what part of speech?
an adjective.
Adjective. Good. See how you got it quickly there? Good. Let's go to the next one. We will be slightly late to the meeting. I read it because we're kind of running short of time. So our adverb Azaria is?
Silently.
Slightly.
Slightly. Late.
Late. Good. Say this gives us more information about the late. Very good. And late in this case would be? Alicia, late is what?
Late will be adjective.
You're not sure?
No.
Yeah, in this case, yes. I will be late. Yeah. The bridesmaid's dress is a very unflattering shade of puss. Okay, good. Very unflattering. So the word is very, and it's giving us more information about unflattering, which is it ends with ing, so it is a verb. So did we do well today?
Yeah.
Do we know what adverbs are?
Yeah.
Will we use adverbs in the future?
Yeah.
Will you recognize them in sentences? Probably not. So the next time we're going to review this and also talk more about adjectives, because we didn't spend a lot of time on adjectives as yet. So the next class we prepared for a quiz, right? So thanks for joining us this week. I'm going to hand over the girls to their math teacher, Miss Najima, and she will continue her topic for this week. Thank you. Bye.
right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Critical Math, grade 6 to 7. And today we are looking at size of an angle. The last time we were looking at the types of angles, and we also describe how we name angle, right? So just to do a little bit of revision based on what we did the last time. So we said an angle is formed between two straight lines, or we call them rays, right? So that's what we said the last time. So an angle is formed between two straight lines or rays, all right? And the two straight lines, they actually meet at a point, and that point we call the vertex, all right? So when we move an arm or the ray, or we move one of the straight line, the angle is formed between those two lines. All right, so our task today is so we'll be doing a lot of measurements today, because we're going to check out, we're going to have different types of angles, and how do we measure the size of those angles. All right, so in front of you, you have our geometry set, and in order to measure an angle, what do we use to measure angles? Protractor. Good. So open our geometry set that you have in front of you, and we are going to measure some angles. But before we go to measure some of the angles, let's examine how we actually name an angle, right? So for example, I have an angle here, and I'll name it A, B, and C. All right, so just look over a bit. I have ABC, and so my angle is formed between here. So I can say angle B, like that. All right, I can put a little value there called theta, so I can say angle theta. Now theta is just a symbol, or I can remove theta, right? Let's remove theta, and let's use something that you're more familiar with, which is another variable, right? So let's remove theta just a bit. Theta goes, and so we can say angle X, right? Or we can have the same angle, right? A, B, C, or we can name it here, we can call it small b. So we can say angle B, right? So we can put it in words, so that's our English version. So mathematically we can say angle B. See the little hat there? That is saying angle B, right? Here, angle X, right? And then angle B. So we have the English version using the word angle, right? And then we have those little letters there. We can also say angle, this is another way of saying it, angle ABC. So where is the angle? So where is the angle? The angle is the letter in the middle. So you can see that, right? So if you have the three letters, the one in the middle, that's where the angle is going to be. Or this is English version, so we can say ABC, and we put a little hat up there. That signifies that we're talking about this angle here, whether it's an X or whether it's an B, whatever the name of the angle is. Think you follow? Good. So our task today then is to examine how we will measure some of those angles. So here we have a protractor line up there, and I think you can actually see those letters, right? Hopefully you could see those letters a bit. And so, because I can't zoom any bigger than that. Great. So find the size of acute angle BAC. So what we're looking for? So we're looking for BAC, and the angle is where? At A, right? So you see A is in the middle, and it has that little hut on its head, right? So when you're looking for angle B, look here, B, see, B, A, C, right? So the angle between there. So what does angle BAC look like? Now when you're using your protractor, you're starting from 0 going up to where the line is, right? So that's how, remember, you count logically and chronologically. So you start off at 0 and you go all the way up. So if you look at where the line B is, you see it's exactly at 0. So if you go all the way and count up to where C is, what does it look like? So 0, then you get a 10, and then it looks like halfway between 10 and 20. So halfway between 10 and 20 will give us how much? 10 plus 5, which is 15 degrees. So we can type in here 15 degrees. So we'll check that a little bit later. All right? Next, find the size of obtuse angle, because remember, all right, so in the first example here, find the size of the acute angle BAC. And in our last class, we examined an acute angle. And we say, what did we say about an acute angle? It's an angle, but what's so special about it? Acute. It's cute. It's less than 90 degrees. That's what's special about it. It's less than 90 degrees. So basically what you're saying there is that 15 is actually smaller than 90. Hence, right? Now an obtuse angle would be an angle which is over 90 or larger than 90. Great. So let's check there. So we're looking for BAF. So we trace in B, A, and we're going all the way here to F, right? All right, so we're counting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So we're using the ones on the inside, right? On the outside with the black. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, and we are halfway between 110 and 120. So F we're looking at, so it's 110 plus 5 more. How much is that? 115. So notice how we are counting, right? Notice how you're counting. You're starting from 0 and you go all the way up to where the line is. So that's how you measure the angle using our protractor, right? So we're doing it online here, but you will get a chance to use the actual protractor, so you'll see exactly how it's being used, and I'm going to check your accuracy in terms of how you measure your specific angle. All right? All right. So on the other hand, we have find the size of another acute angle, and we are looking at HAF. HAF. So H is on our right hand side there, right? So it's here, H, A, F, right? So we're moving from here going up. So which ones of the numbers are we using? The blue ones or the black ones?
Black one.
So remember, the black one it's counting from that side all the way down here. So you have to start from the inside, right? So with the protractor, you see there are two measurements. So it depends on which side you are. So it has two zeros and two 180s, right? So it depends on which side you're counting from. You have that 0. So if you're counting on the right hand side, you start from that 0. Right? So take out your protractor and you'll see exactly how it's numbered. Check it out. You see two sets of numbering?
Yeah.
Right. So you have a 0 at both ends, and you also have 180 at both ends. Right? So if you're starting on the left hand side, right? So you go all the way up from left, come up, right? And then if you're starting on the right hand side, you're going all the way up. So your reference is 0, right? And notice in the middle as well of the protractor, you see you have a straight angle there. And then you see there's a, all right. So let me just depict this a bit. So we have a straight angle like this. All right, so your protractor goes something up like that. Don't mind me. And then in the middle here, you have a line like this, right? And there's a smaller one in the middle. So where you're seeing, all right, so where you're seeing that vertical line, that's exactly where you're gonna place your protractor. Depends on how long the line is. Right, and that horizontal line at the bottom. So there's a line, this line here. That line is going to be placed exactly on the horizontal line so that you can measure the arm that goes up or the ray that goes up, so you can get the angle. All right. So that's a little bit about the protractor. Think you follow? So we're looking at angle HAF. So HAF. And so we're moving from the right hand side here going up all the way to F. So it means we are counting from the inner set of numbers here, because you see here is there 0 reference. See the 0 references here? So it's 0, 10, 20, 30, right? 40, because we're going to F, 50, 60, and 60,
65.
right, 60 and 5, 65. So angle HAF would be 65 degrees, which is another acute angle as well. You think you follow? Now, if we look at angle HAE, how much is that? HAE. 90. Because it's, see, H, that's our H, A, E. So it's vertical, right there at 90. Likewise, B, A, E will also be B, A, E will also be 90. Think you follow? All right. So what you're going to do for me here, so this is just a little exercise where we're going through. Oh, we have some internet issues. All right. All right. So this is what you're going to do for me. So I want you to draw 3 different angles. It doesn't matter. 3 different angles. So you take your ruler, not with the protractor. We're going to use the protractor to measure. So take your ruler and pencil and you will draw 3 different angles. So make sure you have enough space, right? So you can draw an acute angle, you can draw a obtuse angle, and you can even draw what? A reflex angle, because those are the types of angles that we learned the last time, right? So draw an acute. Now don't use the line that is on in your exercise book. Use the line between to draw your horizontal line. Right? Don't double trace. Come on. Right. So just draw an angle. Come on. You were going nicely just now.
Yeah, obtuse angle.
Yeah, an obtuse, an acute, and you can try a reflex. So we go through how you measure those types.
And then obtuse angle being a form of a reflex angle too.
Well, it could be, but I want you to represent an obtuse first, right? So, and then we go through the pace as to how we measure the reflex, which would be kind of easier, because you need to do some what do you call it? Some calculations, really. Okay? All right, so
Where should we have to draw?
just three of them. Just three of them. And acute, obtuse. You're doing an obtuse and you're doing a reflex. So remember, the reflex would be more than 180, right? So remember that. More than 180, but less than 360, sorry. All right?
I think I did the obtuse wrong.
Okay, so you can take your time. So you're expected to do, you know, something like this. Something like that. That's an acute. Something like that. And then something like this. Right? But with this one, so here, the angle is here. The angle is here. And here, for the reflex, you're going around that side. Right? So you have to do some calculations there. All right? Just a bit. All right. So you should have any one of those. So each one of you, the angle is going to be different. Depends on how you draw it as well. Right? That's the idea. All right. Let me see level 4. All right. So here I'm depicting probably the acute angle. So this is what you're expected to do. So you're expected to take that protractor. Isn't it moving? Oops. It's not moving. All right, let's see if it's moving here. It's not moving there either. We'll get it moving, don't worry. All right. So you're taking your protractor and place it on. All right, so here you'll have, okay, let me show you exactly what is it, level 1. All right, so you see how the protractor is lined up to that angle there? Right, so you're laying it up just like that, similarly. So use your first angle, right? So you're lining it up like that, so that horizontal line, go not too far, like right here. Make sure it's straight here on the line, right? So you have to twist the protractor for the line, put your finger right there. Right, for the line to be exactly on that line there. Can you see that? So you draw it in red. Where's your angle? All right, so you're here. You have to do it like that. Twist it a bit because you need to get it right. Okay, so you see your 0. So which direction you're counting from? Azaria, you're counting from which direction? Right or left?
Left.
Left. So you look for your 0 reference and you're going all the way to where that line, your blue line is. You have a blue line. All right, so which direction you're starting from? Left as well. Good. So yeah, line it up carefully. Great. So look for your 0. Good. So you're counting from 0 all the way up to where your line is. Right? So put the demarcation just above where you think it's at.
40.
Right. So yours is approximately 40. And what is yours, Zaria? Alicia's is exactly 40. Where are you? You're 50. So that line in the middle would be 55, and you need to count those little small ones. It's 55, 56, 57, about 58?
Yeah.
Approximately 58. Alright? So that's how you count. So you come here. Right? So you're counting from 0, because all of us are at the left hand side, right? So we count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Mine is 75. And then it looks as though I have another 5, so it's exactly 80. Approximately 80. Right? So we have Azaria. So hope I'm spelling your name right. You have approximately how much? 68 degrees or 58?
58.
58? Hers is approximately 58 degrees. That's our acute angle. And Alicia, where's your angle?
40.
Yeah, you got 40 degrees for your, so in terms of your acute angle, right? And mine on screen here, I have approximately 80 degrees, right? So mine is approximately 80 degrees. All right, good. All right, so go to your obtuse angle now. So your obtuse angle is going to be the angle which is more than 90. And you line it up similarly. So let me look for an obtuse angle if I have one here. No, they're all. Let me see if my level 2 has an obtuse. All right, I found one. So you make sure you line it up nicely, just like how I showed you earlier. Right? That horizontal line must be placed on the ray. On the horizontal ray or the horizontal straight. Right. Good. So which direction you're counting from? See, left, right. So make sure it's nice and straight. Great. So do your counting. There you are. Which direction you're starting from?
The left.
For obtuse, where's your line? Let me see how your angle is. No, you have to start from the, see? You have to start from the right because you're going that way. Your angle is in the opposite direction, right? So put your finger, make sure your hole is down nicely. So you're starting from the right and she's starting on the left based on how you have your angles drawn. All right? Good. So do your counting.
I got 135.
135 approximately, let me see. So you're going here, 0, we have 100, 20, 30, right? That's nice. So make sure what you can do as well is that you can, I'm gonna check it on Alicia in a bit. So with the obtuse, you can write your angle here. You got 135, so you can put 135 degrees there. So that's your measure. Yes, Alicia, where you are.
Why is it not pointing there?
Right, so it's not exactly at, no, you twist it a little bit. Just make sure you get it nice and straight here. Good. Put your finger down now. All right, so measure from 0, from this side. Yeah, right, so look for your 0, go all the way around. Right. Keep counting. Look, your line is here.
Is that from here or from the other part?
No, so your line is on that side, right? So you're from here going up, right? Bottom all the way up, good. 110, that's 115, and 2 more, 15, 16, 17, 117. So for your angle, you will write here, right? Yours. Yours, 117 degrees. Right, so that's Alicia's. So we have Alicia's and Azaria's figure there. You think you follow?
Yes.
All right. Now our next challenge is the reflex. So what are we going to do there?
The bigger one.
Let me hear. What are you going to do for the reflex? Because remember, the protractor cannot go all the way around like that, right? So What do you think you have to do? Which piece you're measuring? See, I know she's twisting her book all the way around, so it means, what is it do you have in mind?
All the way around.
You measuring all the way around? You think that would make sense?
Like a key angle.
Yeah, so you have, so look at the reflex there. So we want the reflex, right? But we have a little acute there, right? Isn't that so?
Yeah.
So what would be the thought process? How would we get the reflex? But because our protractor can only measure, up to 180. So what would you do?
Angle plus 180.
Plus or you subtract? You're subtracting from here. So a whole circle. So it's like, see? So if I complete here, let me put here in blue. Let's put a little blue line here. So if I continue this, I end up with a whole circle, right? And so we know one whole circle is how many degrees? 360 degrees. So the protractor cannot measure the whole piece going around because we can only, the maximum there is 180, right? So measure that little piece, that acute angle that is there, and then you subtract from, and then you get the big angle. That's how you do it. So you may have to, let me see how it's drawn, by the way. Oh, so you have to, yeah, you have to do some turning around if you can't read it upside down. So she was doing the right thing.
This is a bit tricky.
It's a bit, she's getting it there. So you're starting from 0. Where is your 0 reference? Good. To the blue line. Where is your blue line? Right there. So it's, how much is that?
I'm not sure.
How much you got?
55.
55. So, but we do not need 55. So in your case, here is 55. But we do not need 55. So we need the piece going around. So do your mathematics there and get the reflex going around. Did you upturn your book as well? All right, let's see. All right, make sure this is nice and flat. All right, good. Do your measurements. Oh, your line is kind of hidden. All right, make sure you locate it nicely there. Yes. 0 is your reference, so go up.
Like from here?
Mm-hmm.
10, 20, 16.
All right, so that's nicely done there. So yours,
Daddy.
something like that. Oh. So hers is something like that. And so she got 60 here, but we don't need that 60. So I'm gonna, what we need is that piece going around and the other piece going around. So what is your math?
305.
How much?
305.
305. So she got here reflex 305, and you got
300 degrees.
300 degrees. 300. Any questions?
No.
So you think you can use your protractor now?
Yeah.
All right. One tiny one. So draw a very tiny acute angle. That's where we're going to end. A very tiny one. Right? So almost, we need it almost at almost like this. Teensy weensy. You a teensy weensy one like that?
Reminds me of more than.
So it's like, it's an acute, so we know it's more than 0 or 5 or something. So teensy one, and then so we'll wrap up with that. So I want you to get your measurements in. All right. So that's where we are. using our protractors to measure the size of an angle. Oh, fine. So use your protractor now and measure the approximate size there, because it's an approximation you're looking at. Your teensy-weensy is not that teensy-weensy, huh? Okay. Make sure you line it up nicely. So you gotta extend it over here, see? Like there.
36.
Put your finger around there, and so do your measurement. I think you draw it with your hand, right? So that's why it's a bit shaky. Anyhow, do a little approximation, so that's fine. How much? Yes, make sure you get your content nicely there. You're approximately, so that's approximately 30 degrees. Great. So any questions on how we measure angles? So notice your protractor can only measure from, maximum you'll get is 180 degrees. And so if you have to measure any angle which is more than, which is a reflex angle, so you either measure the acute angle on the inside, or you may have a obtuse angle, and so the other angle is going to be the reflex. So you do your mathematics, because in a circle, when you complete a circle, right, you'll have 360 degrees. So when you measure the acute angle or the obtuse angle, you subtract that from 360, well, then you will have the reflex angle. So that would be the concept there, because you can really manipulate this to get a 270 or more than that. Any questions? So that's it for today. So we have been looking at size of an angle, and so our students were drawing angles of varying sizes and then trying to find the approximate size of those angles using the protractor. So thank you for watching. See you next time.